Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and oh my god, earlier today I got to go check out Mission Impossible Fallout. Now, I've been a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise ever since 1996 when Brian De Palma's French noir style film came out. To me, it signified a whole I want to say kind of like an American James Bond, which I understand is a whole idea behind Ethan Hunt, the whole idea behind the IMF. I get it. And the thing is, I love the first movie. I really liked Mission Impossible 2, but I feel like J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible 3 really grounded the series into what it could be versus what it was with the slow motion pigeons that we saw with John Woo, as well as the French noir aspect that De Palma brought, the noir thriller, which he's great at, and it worked for the time. But as the series progressed, now in its sixth iteration, we find ourselves in a totally different world and what can only be described as just top tier entertainment. We're talking, like, to me, outside of maybe Avengers Infinity War, or if you even want to call that summer, Deadpool, this is the top film of the summer in my opinion, simply because this one delivers and fires on literally all cylinders until it runs out of bullets, and then it just hits you in the face repeatedly for a while and you're fine with it. This movie will beat the shit out of you, especially your bladder, if you don't go to the bathroom first, which is something I learned the hard way today. But that didn't take away from my enjoyment, specifically because I made sure I didn't want to miss anything. So this movie is written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and it is a direct sequel to Mission Impossible Ghost Nation. I think it was Ghost Protocol. I forget, whatever the last one was. I forget the names of them now, but Mission Impossible 5 was the last one, and this is a direct sequel to that. And that's something that normally you don't see in these kind of films. They don't ever really continue the story going on that front. They just keep the characters coming back, give them a new mission if they choose to accept it, and of course that's it. And I really liked that they tied it into all of the other ones, with maybe the exception of the second one. But they even had a nod to the original, which I'll talk about here once we get into spoiler territory. Which, screw it, let's go into spoiler territory. If you want to see this movie and you don't quite know if you should, do it. You owe it to yourself as not only an action movie fan, but a summer movie fan, if not a Tom Cruise fan or a Mission Impossible fan. This movie delivers in every way it possibly can. It's never dull for a minute. It's always a lot of fun. The performances are actually really solid, and the action is stunning. See this in the theater. I would recommend seeing it in the biggest presentation that you can. I didn't see it in 3D, but there's a helicopter sequence that I could only imagine in 3D would be mind-blowingly insane. So I would recommend that for you guys to go and check out. That being said, I don't quite know how much after the events of number 5 this picks up. No, 2 years later. It's 2 years later. That's right. Ethan Hunt is still working with the team. At this point, they're trying to recover stolen plutonium, and they're trying to stop a doomsday event from happening, right? They're trying to stop what could be described as an extinction level event, depending on what part of the world you're in, and a couple dirty bombs and whatnot. And as a result, they're also trying to fight back against the bad guy from number 5 and his group, which is now known, or which went from being called the Syndicate to now to the Apostles, and they are trying to basically become terrorists for hire with a much more nefarious plan at play. And when they end up losing the plutonium, in order for Ethan to save Luther's life, because let's face it, it's Luther, he's badass, Ving Rhames is the shit, kind of puts everything up in the air, right? Everything up in the air. So he has to go and get the plutonium back, which puts him in line to go and meet the White Widow, played by Vanessa Kirby. And along the way, this is where he meets Walker, played by Henry Cavill. And I just want to point out and say this, the mustache Henry Cavill had, not worth the damage to Justice League. Don't get me wrong, Henry Cavill was great in the movie. I love Henry Cavill. I think they wanted to do the mustache to distinguish away from Superman and also Napoleon Solo in A Man from U.N.C.L.E. But that being said, it was not necessary. It was not necessary to have that there. It could have been fine without it. And so there's that. That's my one complaint with Henry Cavill. Other than that, he was awesome. Like, that fight scene in the bathroom was fucking amazing. I loved it. Just because, like, he's beats, the Christopher McQuarrie brought the action, right? Like, he brought the action. They don't cut away from a lot of it. And so they put a lot of work into prepping, a lot of the scenes. And as a result of that, it gets pretty intense the more you watch it. It's awesome. And so once they get in with the White Widow, and this is the thing I loved, is when you first meet the White Widow, she's at this charity auction and she's giving essentially a eulogy to her mother, Max. Now, when I heard that, I let out a full-blown, oh, damn, right? I let it out in the theater because Vanessa Redgrave's character, Max from the first Mission Impossible, was awesome. And now they brought in her daughter, and Vanessa Kirby, oh, man, she embodies a lot of the same kind of swagger that Vanessa Redgrave did as Max. That same kind of mentality for running this type of brokerage organization that she does, and she plays it perfectly to the point of where they've introduced her now, and I want this to be a thing because with the success of Mission Impossible that they're going to do Mission Impossible 7. It's just you don't open to I think it's $158 million opening weekend worldwide, right, on $178 million budget, not including any of the advertisements and stuff, and even the 9-week hiatus that they had to take because Tom Cruise got injured, which was going to run Paramount an additional $80 million. And let's be fair, it's Paramount; they need the money. Actually, ended up not costing them anything because it was all under insurance. So, yay for that! But that again was one of the things that kind of conflicted with Justice League. Just so you know, the more you know here on $3 Theater, the more you learn, the more it is. But that being said, you had the situation play out where they're going after this plutonium. They have to go and rescue Solomon, right? They have to go and rescue the bad guy from the last movie. And of course, Ilsa is back as she's trying to kill him because she's trying to get back in with MI6. And so to assassinate him is to buy her way back. So she will go through Ethan, but she's trying to do everything she can to not. And I thought that was pretty cool. It showed this conflict of character, someone you very much respect, someone you very much care for, and you're put in this position where you're going to have to go through them possibly in order to complete your goal. And there's a lot of that stuff there, and it worked out really well, I think. The scene where they rescue Solomon was start to finish fantastic. It's an insanely long sequence. One of the things I noticed though is when Tom Cruise was on the motorcycle trying to get away from all the police, and he is just going through stoplights. He is, weaving in and out of cars. The sound design and the editing, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets nominated for an Oscar. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it does, simply because this is the type of stuff where you're not realizing that what you're watching predominantly is CG. The cars are very much CG in the way that they went about it, but you don't notice it right off the bat because of how close he gets to the cars and how much it keeps cutting away to something else. Like I said, the way that they set up the action in this was very predetermined. They did a lot of prep work, and it shows, especially the scene when they were jumping out of the plane. He did, I think, 100 takes in order to get the 3 shots, essentially, that they used for the movie. Like, Tom Cruise likes to do these stunts, and Tom Cruise wants to get them right. Hence why he was on that plane for, I think it was Ghost Protocol was the 5th one. Or Ghost Nation. Again, I keep forgetting Mission Impossible 5, and he's on that plane like 28 times, holding on to the side as they're taking off. So Tom Cruise, he's starting to show his age, and you can see it in this one, but at the same time, he doesn't look like he's solid, super solid. And of course, then they have to get everything. They find out that they got double crossed because, Henry Cavill's the bad guy, which you kind of can tell from the trailers when they show the helicopter sequence. So that particular reveal wasn't even one that was like entirely unexpected. You were like, oh yeah, no, he's going to be the bad guy. He's going to be involved somehow. And he was. He was. I wasn't surprised by that, but I liked the twist in regards to like who the double agent was. He was the double agent, and then he was able to frame Ethan as being a double agent, which worked out really well. I thought that was a good play on the trope of a double agent, especially a double agent in regards to this particular series, because there are always many of them. There are always many double agents. And then they end up going to was it Kashmir, where this is where like the finale is. There's going to be a nuclear bomb that goes off. It's going to irradiate the water for Russia, for Pakistan, and for India and parts of China. Or no, I don't think Russia is involved in that one. But it's going to effectively contaminate and possibly kill 1/3 of the world population. And when they get out there, that's when they discover Julia, Tom Cruise's ex-wife, or Ethan's ex-wife from Mission Impossible 3. She had that brief cameo at the end of Mission Impossible 4. She's there with her new husband. Her husband doesn't know who Ethan is. So there's this like, oh crap, I was not expecting this, but they brought Michelle Monaghan back in and they made her useful. They brought her back in and they made her really kind of a part of the team for that moment. And I loved it. I love that she didn't run away from danger because she knows who Ethan is. She knows exactly what he's done. She knows everything from Mission Impossible 3. She knows Luther, and she very much worked with that. I thought that was great. I thought that worked out really, really, really well for trying to bring her in and then also offer up the closure to their relationship, which that's at the end, that's what happened. I thought that was great. And then, you've got the fight between Ilsa and Solomon, and it's brutal because like he's hanging everybody, like Simon Pegg runs in, Pegg's getting in a fight. It just, again, really, really in your face action, really brutal fight scenes, really jump into it. It really jumps in and shows it to you, and doesn't cut away, which I really like. It doesn't cut away from a lot of it. So you get to see it take place. And I think that's when it comes to where we are right now with action movies. This is what people want. They want there to be that kind of showcase. They want there to be that kind of approach, simply because we're tired of the fast edits. Remember like Alien versus Predator, and you couldn't even tell what was going on because they just kept fast editing through everything and adding sound effects, and that was supposed to make it work. Here McQuarrie planned everything, choreographed everything, and they brought it. Everyone in the movie brought their A game for this, and that's one of the reasons why it's sitting, I think, like at a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are going to see it multiple times. Like I said, this is the kind of movie you want to spend your time with during the summer. It was fantastic. And then at the end, obviously, the whole helicopter stuff was insane. I think if I would have seen that in 3D, that would have like been mind blowing. But the only problem with it is you get to a point when they're doing what they're doing right there, and it's like the helicopters crash and they flip around, and you see like them inside tumbling around, but no one breaks any bones or gets mortally wounded or whatever. It does do a little bit of like, there's a little bit of suspension of belief that gets kind of blown out of the water, right? Especially when they finish crashing. And then of course there's the final fight when they're both super messed up and they're on this cliffside trying to get the detonator for the bomb in order to pull it out just in time, without being able to communicate at all with the team. And the team is on their own trying to do their own thing. It was really, really well done. And then Aldo's good in the end, essentially, right? He gets his closure with his ex-wife. He looks at Ilsa like, all right, cool, now we're gonna bone. You met my previous bone, now we're gonna bone. This is all good. But they've really kept it at being a lot like a family. They've kept it at being quite a bit like a family movie, and I think that dynamic ends up working out really well. It's worked out really well for the Fast and Furious franchise, where treating it like it's a family drama, bringing in these characters, continuously putting them out there, challenging them, brings them closer together, and the audiences actually really respond to that. And I think for 22 years that we've been watching Mission Impossible, this is what we've seen. It's fantastic. Christopher McQuarrie knocked it out of the park. We need to have him come in to do Mission Impossible 7, which will probably be the last one, just given how old Tom Cruise is, provided, they don't wait 3 years to get it off the damn ground. And he doesn't get injured, but even these stunts he's going to want to go harder and crazier. But I want to see them complete the trilogy. Solomon is alive at the end. The apostles are still out there, and there's still threats in the world, and they could easily tie it up, and they could easily bring this to a close. And I think that would work out really, really, really well. But at the end of the day, Mission Impossible Fallout is just an insanely fun movie. I did remember it did harken back to number 2. With the at the end, Ethan is climbing up a cliff. Just like the opening of Mission Impossible 2, where he's free climbing. So he was doing that here too, a little bit. And so I thought that was a nice little kind of throwback. This movie felt like it really threw back to a lot of the previous films, like I said, with Max's reference, although it was a brief reference and never brought up. Tom Cruise never brought it up. It wasn't brought up at the end, which I was a little bit turned off by. I was hoping that, you know, when they established the connection with you know, with the White Widow and Ethan, her knowing Ethan's an agent, that he would have been like, I knew your mom, sort of thing, you know. I think that would have been a nice callback, but it was subtle and it was for fans only, and I get that, and I respect that. I respect that it was a wink and a nod without hitting you over the head with the sledgehammer on it. So that being said, go see Mission Impossible Fallout. It's excellent stuff. It's fun. Alec Baldwin did a good performance. Sucks that his character gets taken out. Like I said, there's spoilers. But it's time to open up. Bring in Jeremy Renner again. Now that Avengers 4 is wrapped up, he can do that if Hawkeye is out. And now Angela Bassett would probably be the one in charge. And so there's still a lot they can play with it. There's a lot more fun, and I think that everyone is going to want to come back for more movies. But that being said, those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Either or. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.